This fast and yet comfortable ride gave me an opportunity to get to know some of my fellow passengers and to investigate the mysteries of train spotting.
I might have been a train spotter at one point in time when I was much younger. Gave me something to do, I think. And I don't know where it really started from, but it just to get you out of the house. And I also had some friends that did it, so it was like a bit of a group of us would go out on a Saturday or a Sunday and head out to a station and spot trains
for
freeze, maybe 8 hours or so. But you'd have a chat and a bit of a laugh. You'd take the numbers down. Then you get home, you'd read through them, check whether you missed any off, and it's as simple as that really. And you get really excited if you got a whole class.
Did you see them all, or?
No, I did pretty well. When I gave it up, I must have had probably 90-95% of the stock that British Rail were running at that time. So a bit of an anorak, definitely. But I gave it all up when I was 16, so it was all a bit sad.
But there's some more bizarre spotting activities?
Yeah, there's people known to go out spotting planes. You probably get them everywhere else in other countries as well, but in the UK they seem to have a slight interest in doing it. Complete madness. Maybe we're just a little more eccentric than the rest of the world. I think the British have got an obsession with trains as it is anyway. It's gone into private hands. It just seems to have got worse and worse, and trains are later and they're being run for profit. And people pay more and more for the tickets. We just seem to be going more and more towards the way things are being done in the US, and more dependent upon cars as the mode of transport.
Did you have a car?
I do.
You prefer to use the car?
Yeah, I couldn't do without my car.
Today I continued living on the edge, and I arrived in Dublin without any kind of reservations. And the big problem with today was I arrived at about 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I catch a bus from the ferry terminal, and 10 minutes into the journey we're sitting in traffic. And I abandoned the bus, as did many of my co-backpackers, and we headed for the youth hostel, which of course was full. Thankfully, I asked and I recommended another place down the street. They said, "Oh, just go ahead and walk down there." Well, I had just walked about 20 or 30 minutes hauling all my gear, and I begged and pleaded and pretty much wouldn't leave until they called. They called, they booked me the room with my credit card, they advised me to make sure I show up, and here I am, sitting in my room for 4 people, so it'll be interesting to see who else shows up.
So not too long after turning off the camera, a roommate walks in. "Hey, you want to go on our literary pub crawl?" "Sure, why not?" Spur of the moment stuff, carpe diem. So, off we went.
That always gets the first laugh. That's you. It would be. It is. Well, look at that face. If you must. The face that sank 1,000 pints and launched 1 million hangovers and couldn't cure any of them.
We were here yesterday.
No, there you're mistaken.
What did we do yesterday?
What did we do yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, nothing is certain when you're about.
In my opinion, we came here.
Oh, you recognise the place.
I didn't say that.
Well,
that makes no difference.
After all, that tree, that bog.
You're sure it was this evening?
What?
That we were to wait.
He said Saturday. I think.
You think?
I must have made a note of it.
We were treated to some locally written prose, and then, to continue our cultural enrichment, a traditional Irish song of the alcohol-consuming variety.
It's very simple. When I sing, "What'll you have?" you sing back, "I'll have a pint."
Okay.
Well, since you arrived in Ireland, you're probably saying very little else. There's not much else to do, really, is there? Says my L1 to your L1, will you go to the Waxy's Dargle? Says your L1 to my L1, sure I haven't got to farthen. I went down to Monto town to see young Kit McCardle, but he wouldn't lend me £0.50 to go to the Waxy's Dargle. What'll you have? I'll have a pint with you, sir. And if one of yous doesn't order soon, we'll be thrown out of the boozer.
After our little sing-song, it was off to Trinity College to learn of one of its more well-known and distinguished alumni.
Because the students were much better known for their drinking and debauchery in the streets and the taverns than they were for their religious education. And by the time that Oscar Wilde arrived here in 1872, things hadn't changed much for the better. And they haven't really changed much since Oscar's time either, I can tell you. But Oscar had very little time for his fellow students, and he once wrote of them, "They think of nothing but running and jumping, and they vary these intellectual pursuits with bouts of drinking and fighting, and their souls, if indeed they have souls, they divert with coarse amours among the barmaids and the women of the street. They are, in fact, simply awful."
Even if one doesn't drink, you can grab some water at the bar and get to know some of the people on the tour and a few of the oldest establishments in Dublin. And this is a literary tour, so there is that cultural enrichment aspect to it all. You'll experience the work of some of Ireland's greatest writers in some of the places that inspired them. Towards the end of the tour, this may be how you see the world if you'd been sampling some of the local brews. Ah, my kind of people. Camera friendly instead of camera shy. Well, I must admit, it was a great little tour. Some history, theater, and a nice overview of Dublin, all packed into a few hours. I took the scenic route home, saw some new sights, and felt the need to sample some of the local cuisine. Fortunately, I stumbled upon one of the most famous eating establishments this side of the North Pole.
Hello Paul, welcome to Dublin, all the way from Florida. Yeah, Leo Burdick's home of the fish and chips. We're the most famous fish and chips in the world here. And standing beside me here is my colleague here, Gary. Okay, so what could I give you, Paul?
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips. I'll give you the most popular fish we have, Gary. Give Paul the most famous fish and chips we have. Give him a fresh cod and chips there. Okay. And that lady wants to smoke that as well. Okay. When you come to Dublin, right, there's about 10 different places you must visit, right? And the other 10 places, we are one of them, because we're established here since 1913, and we're the most famous fish and chips in the world. Not in Dublin, but in the world, right? Okay. And very famous people come from all over the world. Film stars, rock stars, you name them. You know, government people and all came in here and sampled our wonderful fish and chips. So we are listed, as I said, as one of the 10. Guinness's Brewery up the road, Vega to Guinness is another. The Book of Kells down in Trinity College, that's another. And there's about 5 or 6 others, a few museums and what have you. But we're in the top 3 of the places you must visit, you know what I mean, when you come to Dublin. All over the world people come to say what is good about Leo Burdick's. Leo Burdick's is good because what we do is we give away 2 things, right? The 2 things are quality and quantity, right? As I said, you know, a lot of people come in here. You can see how busy we are here now. It's traditional. Tonight it's Friday night, and Wednesday night, Friday night, 2 traditional fish and chips in Dublin.
What is the quality difference with your fish and chips?
Fresh fish, caught this morning, battered today, and sold tonight. You can't get more than that, you know. And it's a good size as well, you know. When people say, "What do you do when you're for your spare time?" I do go out fishing. It's a bit stupid, you know. It's a bit unusual. I've always went home and I say to my wife, "Why don't we go for the dinner?" Or for the dinner, and she say, "I cook your fish and chips." And I say, "What? I've been working it all day long." I know, but I do it different, she says. You know? I caught him about 2 years ago in Dromore Lake. I was fishing off Dromore Lake, and I had a rod out. And just doing a bit of fly fishing and what have you. And I decided to go for the big guy and caught him. He's a 23-pound pike. But I've served a lot of famous people in the time coming in here, you know. I'll just rattle off just a few roughly. Sandra Bullock was in about 4 months ago. We had all the boys from U2. They come in regularly, you know. They come in and they say to me, you know, they shake my hand and say, you're really famous. And I'm looking at them saying, these guys are worth £100 million for a member of the biggest band in the world. And he's telling me I'm famous, you know. It's pretty good. But, you know, through the years we had some great people. And B.B. King came in, it was a great story with him. He came in with 2 bodyguards. He queued up for about 10 minutes, got the fish and chips. He went out to the limousine. 65-foot limousine was out of the door.
Who's your most favourite famous person that came here?
Of all the people we had, my favourite person would have to be Sandra Bullock. She was very, very nice. She's absolutely beautiful.